Wow, it's been a while, but welcome back to the latest devlog for the still untitled Metroidvania game I'm working on. There's been a lot of progress since the last video, so I'm excited to show you what I've got. I've been very conscious that I've not been keeping up with the regular updates, so I wanted to make a real effort as well to improve my planning. So I've built out, as you can see, this entire plan of the map of the game. I found that Excel tended to actually be a really useful tool for this. It lets me change it really quickly, and for something as cell-based as a video game, I think it makes a lot of sense. I've also then been able to plan out where some of the bosses will be, how some of the zones will link together, and it's been really useful to then start building out the world. That leads me nicely onto what I actually did a lot of this time, is been beginning to build out the world itself. So I wanted to build it in such a way that it wasn't going to all be loaded all the time. I was initially planning on having scene transitions like Hollow Knight, and so I was looking for an existing asset to see if there was something that might be able to help with this. And I found what I think is probably the best asset I've ever bought, and for some reason not massively reviewed, is this scene connector on the Unity Asset Store. It allows you to load scenes into the game as you go, and including everything in them, and then preview them in a mini-map style format. So it actually has ended up being far more than I was expecting I'd be able to do, and can load the whole map without needing any load screens. So using this and the map that I designed in Excel, I've been building out the whole map. So connecting all of these different scenes together, as we can see in the hierarchy on the left, all of these scenes are currently loaded, but in game they'll load as you get to each one. So there's 5 or 6 scenes. I've attached just loosely where I think the boss fights might occur, and I just need to now build out each of these and fill them with enemies. I think it's going to be a really powerful tool, especially as the map gets more and more complex. The other big update since the last video, as you may have noticed, is I've replaced all of the original temporary art with some newer temporary art that looks a bit more like an actual game. So I don't think I'm going to stick with this when the game is actually complete, but I think it makes a big difference in actually making it feel like a real game. I've also then tidied up the player controller a bit, resolved a lot of bugs, and I think it's really feeling quite good now. The last big update since the last devlog is I've started the quite daunting task of populating the world with enemies and hazards. I wanted to build the enemy controller in such a way that it's really extendable and I can reuse it for as many different enemies as possible. I've started first with one of the boss fights. I've been building the centaur, just getting some basic AI in terms of tracking the player, moving towards the player and dealing damage to the player when they're within a certain range. So at the moment it is very, very temporary art, so I've just got a static sprite on it, but I'm going to be on the lookout to see if I can commission some art to make this first boss fight a really memorable one. Thank you so much for watching. I know it's been quite a delay since the last one, but I'm going to try again to be a bit more regular with these updates. So if you'd like to stay up to date, then give us a subscribe, or maybe give us a follow on our Twitter. I'll put all of the links in the description.